Good night, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for joining us for another episode of We TV, Making a Difference in Your Community, a program by the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure. I am your host, Taromi Lourdes Joseph. In this episode, we are focusing on the Diego Martin Highway expansion. Residents of Diego Martin and Petit Valley are affected by the heavy traffic they face on their commute to and from work, something I'm all too familiar with. Thankfully, the ministry took action to address this issue. So, where would a project like this begin? And how does it all work? In this episode, our goal is to answer these questions and give you the opportunity to voice your concerns. But before we take your calls later in the episode, here is some background information and summary on the Diego Martin Highway expansion.
In 1982, the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago hired consultants to undertake a feasibility study and preliminary engineering design for improvements to the Western Main Road from Audrey Jeffers Highway to Chaguaramas. This feasibility study included, among other recommendations, improvements to Diego Martin Main Road and Diego Martin Highway from Western Main Road to just north of Morne Coco Road. Improvements recommended for Diego Martin in the feasibility study included that the Diego Martin Main Road should be widened to 3 lanes from the Western Main Road to just north of Morne Coco Road, and that the Diego Martin Highway, southbound, should be widened to 3 lanes from Western Main Road to just north of Morne Coco Road. The proposed improvement to widen Diego Martin Main Road remained in effect until several years ago. Mr. Tony Alcantara, a resident of Diego Martin, forwarded a suggestion to the Highways Division to deal with traffic congestion in the Four Roads area. The suggestion involved the construction of northbound lanes next to the existing southbound Diego Martin Highway from Victoria Gardens to just beyond Acton Court. His suggestion was reviewed by technical officers of the Highways Division and accepted as, with this proposal, the major vehicular traffic entering Diego Martin will now be able to easily bypass the commercial area in the vicinity of Starlight Shopping Plaza. At present, during peak hours on afternoons, vehicular traffic wishing to enter Diego Martin is affected by traffic congestion in the vicinity of Starlight Shopping Plaza, queuing from Morne Coco Road to as far as Jean Pierre Complex, a distance of approximately 4 kilometers, and sometimes further onto Ryson Road. However, with the completion of this project, road users will be able to bypass the congested commercial area on the Diego Martin Main Road. In addition, road users wishing to enter the northwestern peninsula of Trinidad would benefit from this project. Mr. Alcantara's proposal was expanded further and developed in more detail, resulting in the project Diego Martin Highway expansion. The section of Diego Martin Main Road under construction runs northbound from the Western Main Road to Acton Court. Starting from Western Main Road, the northbound Diego Martin Main Road initially runs parallel to the southbound lanes of Diego Martin Highway until it reaches Victoria Gardens, at which point it veers away from the southbound lanes. This arrangement exists for approximately 1 kilometer until it connects via a ramp with the northbound lanes of Diego Martin Highway in the vicinity of Acton Court. Along this section of the main road, there are entrances to numerous businesses, including 2 gas stations, the Four Roads Police Station, and the Starlight Shopping Center. In addition, there are also intersections with Cutbirth Road and Wilson Road. All of this contributes to the existing congestion. The principal aims of the Diego Martin Highway expansion project, Acton Court to Western Main Road, are 1. Reduce congestion in the northbound direction between Victoria Gardens and Acton Court during the afternoon peak hours. This congestion would be reduced by creating a bypass, which would allow the main Diego Martin vehicular traffic to circumvent the congested commercial area. This would be achieved by continuing the northbound lanes directly adjacent to the southbound lanes from Victoria Gardens to the northern side of Acton Court. 2. Reduce congestion in the southbound direction between Morne Coco Road and the Western Main Road during the morning peak hours. This congestion would be reduced by providing an additional lane southbound from Morne Coco Road to the Western Main Road. This benefit would be maximized with future improvements on Western Main Road. 3. Catering for future residential, commercial, industrial, and agricultural growth. Project benefits. As a result of the new road developments in the Diego Martin area by the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, the following benefits are anticipated. Decreased traffic pileups. Improvement of ease of access into the Diego Martin area. Reduction of congestion in the northbound direction between Victoria Gardens and Acton Court during afternoon peak hours. Reduction of congestion in the southbound direction between Morne Coco Road and the Western Main Road during the morning peak hours. Facilitating future residential, commercial, industrial and agricultural growth. Pedestrian walkover enabling safe access to the Diego Martin Main Road across the highway.
Delivering more news at more times to more people. From C News at high noon right until 6 p.m. Get your C News updates every hour on the hour. Never miss a story. Never miss what's new. Never miss your C News right here on CTV.
Welcome back to WeTV, making a difference in your community. If you are just joining us, we are talking about the Diego Martin Highway expansion. Don't forget that later in this episode, we will be joined by the Honorable Dr. Suredratan Rambachan and the Director of Highways, Mr. Roger Ganesh, who will be taking your calls live, answering your tweets and Facebook questions. But now, let's join my co-host Reagan Devines, who is speaking to civil engineer Rosemary Mirage Wright, who gives us some valuable insight about the construction taking place.
Hey, thanks so much to Rumi. Listen, we're standing in the midst of some serious action here, hard hats and all. We are on what is soon to be the northbound lanes of the Diego Martin Highway, and all of these works are happening courtesy of the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure. Now, this has been a process which is designed to alleviate traffic coming into Diego Martin on evenings, which has been horrendous, as you know, for forever, right? Yeah, so to talk about the process is Mrs. Rosemary Mirage Wright, who is a civil engineer with the ministry. Hi, Rosemary.
Hi, morning, Reagan. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Nice to be here with you.
Firstly, let's just answer the question, what exactly does a civil engineer do?
Well, within the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure Highways Division, a civil engineer's job entails preliminary design of highways, feasibility, actual design, working with consultants, design consultants, working with the contractors, supervision of the entire procurement process, either through NIDCO or NIPDEC, and the hiring of those contractors who will actually perform the works, and the ministry's actual supervision of those works until completion to ensure that the quality of works is what the ministry is satisfied with.
Okay, great. We've got that covered. Now we know, you know, I know, we all know, anyone who lives in this area is stressed out on evenings coming back home. What work has been going on to alleviate that?
Now, the work that was done so far would have commenced on Western Main Road. The project would have started back in 2010. And the work that was done then was work that didn't entail any acquisition whatsoever. The remainder of the work, the acquisition needed to get started before the works could have continued. So the widening took place from Western Main Road coming up to Victoria Gardens. The existing road was widened to 3 lanes, and including shoulder. Now, the remainder of the work, which started back in 2011, would have included the extension of reinforced concrete culverts, the removal of existing fences, construction of new walls, boundary walls, the construction of retaining walls, and the actual roadworks where the 2 lanes are to be constructed, widening around the main road as well as widening along Morne Coco Road, which will now become a signalized intersection where people will now gain access to the highway.
So things will change obviously a lot. Let's describe exactly where will the newly constructed northbound lanes of the Diego Martin Highway start?
The start will be at Victoria Gardens. It is visible right now. where the works have separated from the existing highway, where you can see the 2 lanes continuing onto the main road. There will now be 2 lanes that can actually proceed along the highway, and 1 lane will follow the main road.
What will happen at that turn-off at Acton Court?
Well, from Western Main Road, there will be 3 lanes coming straight into Digger Martin. Those 3 lanes, people will need to get into lane as you approach Victoria Gardens, as the left lane will continue along the main road, and the middle and right lane will continue along the highway.
Excellent. All right, so obvious question now is how will the residents of Digger Martin be positively affected by this?
Obviously, the improvements will reduce travel time significantly on an afternoon. Residents are expected to cut off a significant amount of time because of the need to no longer pass on the main road. Residents would be familiar with the fact that on an afternoon, the amount of vehicles trying to get into the gas station or probably the shopping complex or any of the commercial businesses along the main road between Victoria Gardens and Morne Coco Road would realize once they pass Morne Coco, there's smooth flowing traffic, right? So what the project seeks to do is to eliminate that need to pass on the main road. So people who would now be passing on the main road would just be people who need to do that. Anybody else who is seeking to head straight into Digger Martin can use the highway.
Rosemary, what will be the changes to the Digger Martin main road?
What motorists would be accustomed to would be 2 lanes of traffic heading along the main road. The major change when you're entering Digger Martin main road, there will be 1 single lane, and the traffic between the big tree and the Victoria Gardens will now revert to 2-way traffic. Whereas before it would have been 2 lanes one way, it will now be single lane traffic, right? So you'll have 1 lane proceeding north and 1 lane proceeding up to Victoria Gardens. Now the traffic heading south towards Victoria Gardens must be mindful of the fact that access will not be allowed at Victoria Gardens. If it is that you are wishing to get back onto the highway, if it is that you're proceeding south to Port of Spain, you need to approach the traffic light at Morne Coco Road. Okay. Or if it is you wish to get onto the northbound lane to head further into Digger Martin, you can access the highway via Wilson Road.
Okay. And you mentioned the big tree. It's iconic, I guess. What is going to happen to that large tree that used to divide the highway and the main road? Okay,
before I reach the big tree, motorists also would have been accustomed to the signalized intersection at Morne Coco Road. What would change there is that you would still be able to make a left to go onto Morne Coco Road to get onto Westland Avenue. What is different now, that you can either proceed straight into Digger Martin, or you can make a right to head onto Morne Coco Road to reach to the intersection that you see behind us. Okay. Now if you're heading south, that is going towards Starlight from higher into Digger Martin, you would be able to make a left turn to head to the traffic light again, or you'll be able to proceed onto Morne Coco Road, onto Westland Avenue, or you'll be able to go straight and proceed up to Victoria Gardens.
Those are a lot of changes, but I'm so grateful that the visuals that you guys are seeing right now will show all of this. This intersection right here behind us, this gives us access to what?
Now this intersection will replace the turnaround at the big tree, right? Where people would have had to continue along the main road, proceed to the big tree, and then access the highway from there. That turnaround will be closed. So where motorists would have accessed the highway, that portion of roadway will simply become access to Acton Court, and the main road will continue as a main road, as a typical main road with 2-lane traffic. Now the intersection that you see behind me will be the major point of access for this segment of the main road. So if it is that you're wishing to come to the main road, there would be 3 lanes of traffic. 1 can filter onto the highway heading northbound, or 2 lanes which can come to the traffic light, wait for the signals. 1 can make a right turn onto the Digger Martin Highway northbound that's heading towards Port of Spain, or if you wish to turn to go onto Morne Coco Road, that will also be possible.
Awesome. How many lanes are we talking about with this newly built highway? What are the changes?
Now from Acton Court, if we're heading back out of Digger Martin, heading to Port of Spain, there will be 2 lanes up to the traffic light. Again, on the northbound side, there will be 2 lanes heading straight into Digger Martin. The 2 lanes will also have shoulder and laybys for maxis to stop, so they will no longer be stopping on the lane. Right? Sufficient accommodations have been made to create laybys so that these maxis or taxis can now pull off lane and do their drop-off and pick-up, including buses. But after, to answer your question, after the traffic light, on the southbound lane, there will be 3 lanes, which will accommodate for the traffic coming out of Morne Coco Road.
I guess final question, will there be any permanent closures? What will they be?
Yes, there will be permanent closures. The public would have been getting used to the fact that some closures have already been made and they will remain. For one, the first closure that was done was the turn at Victoria Gardens, where the southern lanes were allowed to make a turn and access Victoria Gardens. Obviously, this will no longer be possible because we have 2 lanes of traffic heading north. Now, the other closures that people have already been adjusting to would be the closure of the turnaround by the bow tie, which would have allowed people coming from Digger Martin to turn to go to, say, West Mall.
Right.
Now, because of the widening, there are now too many lanes to weave through and sufficient distance to do that weaving. So it has now become very unsafe and needs to be closed, right? The turnaround that takes you from Western Main Road heading back to Port of Spain, it has been left open for a while, at least until the opening of the intersection. When the intersection at Morne Coco is opened, that turnaround will also be closed. So motorists proceeding west, wishing to turn around to head back to Port of Spain, will now need to either come to the Morne Coco lights and use the traffic signals here to get back onto the southbound lanes to head out. In addition to the closures, another turn that will be no longer allowed with the opening of the highway is the turn where motorists can turn to go into Morne Coco Road at this intersection. This turn will no longer be allowed. So motorists coming out of Digger Martin wishing to head in to Morne Coco, that portion of Pitty Valley there, will have to do so via Crystal Stream, or can utilize the signalized intersection to head into Morne Coco.
Walkovers, will there be any in the area?
The walkover, there is a walkover currently being designed, and the exact location is still to be sorted out, but it will be located between the intersection and Victoria Gardens, right? The Pure section is currently working on designs for that walkover.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. I'm sure it's very rewarding for you to be part of this project. Rosemary Mirage, Wright of the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure. She's a civil engineer here. Turumi, it's back to you.
Thanks, Reagan and Rosemary. Don't touch that remote. WeTV will be right back.
Subscribe to the C News Text Alert service and get breaking news and daily updates right to your mobile phone. Simply text the keyword C News to CNMG to subscribe today. Subscription is free. Be in the know first with the C News Text Alert service. C News, compelling, committed, credible.
C News, delivering more news at more times to more people. From C News at high noon right until 6 p.m. Get your C News updates every hour on the hour. Never miss a story. Never miss what's new. Never miss your C News right here on CTV.
National affairs, the people's business, the issues that impact your lives. Chime in on the conversation and let your voices be heard with the C News Poll every weeknight during the 7 p.m. newscast. The C News Poll, where you have a say in the matters that are driving national discussion. C News, compelling, committed, credible.
Be viewing CTV weekdays at 5:05 to 5:30 p.m. for the award-winning Ye Rishta Kya Kehlata Hai. Get ready to be riveted by the story and life journey of the beautiful Akshara as she explores love, marriage and motherhood. Ye Rishta Kya Kehlata Hai, weekdays at 5:05 to 5:30 p.m. and only on CTV.
Start your day in the know. Tune in to First Up at 5:30 a.m. with Paul Richards, bringing you the best in current affairs, breaking news, politics, sports, and entertainment. First Up, we set the trends. We break the stories. When you watch us, everything else is just old news. So be in the know. Tune in every morning at 5:30 a.m. and start your day in the know with First Up on the fastest growing media station, CTV.
Every day, we deliver the facts. From politics to music, intellectual talk and news. We are Talk City 91.1 FM. Decisive and to the point. Standing strong and staying committed to the truth. Broadcasting major events and delivering updates to a professional standard. We're known for our credibility and drive our points clearly and logically. Effectiveness is what we stand by and never forsake in what we believe in. We are Talk City 91.1 FM, your station for talk, your address for talk.